If you're over 50, you've gained some belly weight, and your energy isn't what it used to be, there's something I want you to understand. Most people think clogged arteries come from cholesterol or genetics or just getting older. But the real secret, the one most doctors never say out loud, is this. The number one way to unclog your arteries is to lose body fat, especially what they call visceral fat or organ fat, while protecting your muscle. That's the lever that changes everything. And if you can pull that lever, you're not just losing weight, you're extending your life big time. Today I'm going to show you why visceral fat is like a slow acid drip on your artery lining. Why muscle is medicine after age 50. Why GLP-1 medications, those weight loss medications, they're also diabetic medications. Why they work beautifully for some and can hurt others. The right way to lose fat without losing muscle, and the one mistake that most people make when starting these weight loss drugs, these diabetic drugs, they're called GLP-1s. Later in this video, I'll tell you the surprising thing that happened to me the first time I tried a GLP-1. It changed the way I use these drugs forever. One of the biggest sources of inflammation in people over 50 is visceral fat. So, if you're over 50, this matters a lot more than you think. Here's the simple mental image. Visceral or organ fat, abdominal fat, is like a slow leak of acid onto your arteries. It drips every hour, every day, for years, even decades. It releases inflammatory chemicals that damage the lining of your artery wall, that cause it to grow plaque, destabilize existing plaque, increase your vascular risk, your risk for a heart attack and stroke, worsen your prediabetes, and send inflammatory signals throughout your whole body. Let me show you something most people miss. You can have visceral fat even if you look thin. This is shockingly common among boomers, 50-year-old and above. I see it in clinic every week. People tell me, "Doc, I'm not overweight. I've stayed the same size for 20 years." But what they're not thinking about is that they've lost a lot of muscle, they've replaced it with fat, and some of that fat is inside their belly. If you've ever felt your strength slipping, this part is for you. After age 50, something important begins to shift. Your muscles stop responding the way they used to. We call it anabolic resistance. Basically, that just means your muscles don't regrow from stimulus as easily as they did in your 30s. And here's the danger. If you lose muscle while you're losing weight, your body pays a heavy price. Your metabolism slows down. Blood sugar rises. Your balance decreases. You're more likely to fall. Vascular inflammation increases. Plaque becomes unstable. Fat regain becomes much more likely. Let me say this simply. Losing weight has become easy these days. Losing fat while keeping muscle, that is the real goal for your health. This combination is one of the strongest artery healing strategies we have. It improves prediabetes or metabolic disease, inflammation, mitochondrial health, endothelial function. Sorry about that. That's one of those geeky words. The lining of your artery wall, the function of that lining to keep you from forming plaque. It also improves plaque stability. So now that you understand fat versus muscle, let's connect the dots to those weight loss diabetes drugs, called the GLP-1s. People ask me all the time, "Hey, Doc, how about Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound? Do they unclog arteries? Can they help?" Well, here's the truth. GLP-1s don't heal arteries. They don't impact your arteries like that. But losing visceral fat and maintaining muscle, you bet that does. That heals arteries. GLP-1s simply make it easier for a lot of people to do the real work, the fat loss. They help by lowering appetite, increasing satiety, flattening blood sugar, reducing insulin spikes, helping people lose weight without this nonstop hunger. I call it white-knuckling weight loss. Before we had those weight loss drugs, I had plenty of people lose 30, 50, 150 pounds, but they just had to push through hunger and food noise and all that stuff. Those new drugs help slow that down. And they often lower inflammation indirectly. But Here's the part that surprises people. GLP-1s, these drugs, they do not protect your muscle. They do not teach you how to eat. They don't create the best habits for you. You've got to do that. They don't replace protein. They don't replace movement. They don't replace resistance training, stimulation of your muscle in the face of anabolic resistance in our 50s and beyond. They don't automatically fix prediabetes, 90% of which is not diagnosed in the first place, even though you have it. They don't give you permanent results. These medicines are a tool. They're not a cure. Now, if you're thinking about starting one of those medicines, the GLP-1s, this is the most important part. You need to think about this. There are two major mistakes that I see. The first mistake is not eating enough protein and doing the resistance training or the high-intensity interval training. GLP-1s, these medications kill hunger so effectively that people just stop eating. Weight loss or your weight goes down, but 30 to 40% of that weight loss, that's muscle. That's not a good thing. Mistake two, not moving enough, not doing the resistance training. When weight drops fast and movement drops too, because you're tired, because you're not eating as much, the body pulls energy from stores, but it's often from the wrong stores. It's from energy stores within the muscle instead of fat. It's just easier for the body to do that. Now, here's the rule I teach my patients. If you're losing weight but getting weaker, you're going in the wrong direction. Just flat, simple. But when these drugs are used wisely, with protein, steps, exercise, and especially those resistance snacks, frequent resistance work, the story changes. We see lower inflammation, lower insulin resistance, lower visceral fat, more stable plaque, better biomarkers, healthier metabolism, driving all of the things on the rest of this list. I promised you my own story, and again, it was an unusual reaction. I might as well tell you that, and then we'll move on. By the way, my weight is the same. Actually, it's about 5 pounds heavier than when I started the GLP-1s about 5 years ago. My abdominal girth is a little bit lower. It was 33, 34 then. Now it's 32, 33. I've improved my muscle significantly, and I have between half pound and a pound of visceral fat, about 19% total body fat. So I've been doing the work, but this is not about that part. This is the interesting reaction I got the first time I tried them. I decided to try them because I use them so much. I use them so much because I work with heart attack and stroke prevention. The number one cause of heart attack and stroke is undiagnosed diabetes and prediabetes. You may be aware that these weight loss drugs have revolutionized weight loss, which is very much associated with metabolic disease, prediabetes. But you might not be aware that these drugs are a major revolution in diabetes care. Prior to these drugs, the GLP-1s, Ozempic and Mounjaro, really what we had was mostly metformin and insulin. And insulin is a bad drug. You do not want to have to take that. You'd much rather take these. So I end up using a lot of them for my diabetes patients to decrease heart attack and stroke risk. What was interesting was when I finally used one myself, within 24 hours, I saw something I'd never seen before, and I really didn't see it in the science at that time. I had a major impact on my sleep. For the first time in 50 years, I actually sleptwalked. My sleep changed dramatically. I wear an Aura, not today, but I usually wear one and was wearing one then. And I saw increases in my sleep scores from the 30s and 40s all the way up to the 70s and 90s. Now, this wasn't magic. It was physiology. They're beginning to discover that these hormones, these GLP-1s, have receptors in sleep centers of the brain. Now, enough about me. Let's go back and talk about you. This is what you need to do in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. What you do matters right now, and it's also going to matter the next 2, 3, or 4 decades. Visceral fat does not stay neutral. It accelerates with age. The sooner you address the problem of visceral fat, the safer your arteries are going to be. Here's the thing I want you to remember. Your arteries heal when visceral fat goes down. Muscle stays up, inflammation drops, insulin resistance improves. Prediabetes, 90% of which is undiagnosed. It's still improving when you're dropping your visceral fat. Not from a pill, not from supplements, and certainly not from wishful thinking. Fat down, muscle up, that's the model. Here are the 5 things you need to focus on and to think about if you're considering one of these drugs, these weight loss or diabetes drugs. Number 1, protein first. Usually get your goal body weight. Number 2, move, walk. Walking helps a lot. You can't do without walking, but it's been demonstrated very clearly that high-intensity interval work and especially resistance training in multiple little snacks, even multiple quick sessions of fairly intense resistance work, even in a day, at least 5 or 6 times a week, not once or twice a week. That movement has to happen. That resistance training has to happen. Lift something heavy. More than twice per week. Number 4, track your strength. If it's dropping, adjust. Keep an eye on your strength. Number 5, aim for fat loss, not fast weight loss. Again, aim for fat loss, not fast weight loss. In my next video, I'll show you the simple at-home markers that my patients use to track visceral fat and inflammation, even without fancy equipment. Now, if you're considering GLP-1 medications, I put together a free guide that explains how to protect your muscle, how to avoid the common mistakes, and how to use these medications safely. If you and your doctor decide they're right for you, you need to know this information. It's linked below. And yes, if you're watching on a TV screen, you should be able to put your iPhone or whatever phone you use, focus like you're going to take a picture of that QR code, and it'll pull up the link for you. If you'd like to help us save lives with this channel, it's easy, simple, and completely free. Just subscribe. The AI reads that, the algorithm, and they say, this is important information, and we'll provide it to others.